Now, Aelin returns back to her body, and we're all like, phew, she has landed exactly where she needed to. Homegirl only has like a teeny, teeny, tiny ember of her former power inside her. And she had to give up her mortal life to help forge the lock. So she is now Fae. She's now an immortal Fae. Woohoo! We then have a lot of like battle stuff happen. We cut over there. It's been a week since the 13 died. Let's not talk that much about it. But we have Ansel of Briarcliff basically saying to Manon, look, I'm kind of in charge of the Wastelands now, and if you want, you can come back. You witches, whom this is your ancestral land, you could always come back to the Wastelands. Not knowing that obviously the Wastelands are gradually becoming not barren because of what the 13 did. So we know that when the war is over, the witches, they're going to go home. And they're going to coexist with Ansel and her people. What else happens? Oh, Alede gives Aelin Silber's ring. Murtagh dies at the Battle in Orinth. Oh, Lysandra finally kisses Adian. We love that for them. And we find out that there's maybe 4 days left. Like, the team at Orinth, they can last for 4 days, and then Morath is going to win. Now, because of this, and because like the future of Terrasen is hanging on by a thread, the Lord of the North, the mythical white stag that Aelin saw from her little carriage being taken to Endovia back in Assassin's Blade, he appears. Okay, he and all of the little people come to Aelin, and the team is there trekking through the forest because doom is about to befall Orinth, and they need to get there as quickly as possible. Now, Adian's forces, they run out of arrows, they run out of like fire lance ammunition. Darrow returns the sword of Orinth to Adian and says, look, I'm sorry for taking this very important familial sword from you. I give you back all your titles. Lysandra, I'm so sorry that I refused to acknowledge you as like a lady of Terrasen. I know that's what Aelin wanted. Like, she gave you the title and everything. I acknowledge it. You're officially a lady of Terrasen. Because I have no children, Evangeline, you're going to be my heir. So if anything happens to me, Darrow, Lord of Terrasen, Evangeline, you'll be looked after. My home is your home. So not only does Lysandra get to be a lady, Evie does as well. We then get the really, really cool arrival of Aelin on the back of the Lord of the North, and everyone goes mental. Can you imagine being like a Terrasinian and not only having your queen arrive, who you've not seen in a decade, but she is literally riding the mythical symbol of your nation with an army at her back? Oh, it's so good. And they properly attack. Now, a wyvern dives to attack Aelin, and she's saved by another wyvern, which it turns out is Lysandra, who is obviously like run and then flown over to where Aelin is to protect her. Aelin and Ansel use fire lances, destroy 2 of the siege towers that the enemy are trying to use on Orinth. This is where the rest of the Iron Teeth witches arrive. So we know that it's going to be Crocon witches v Iron Teeth witches up in the sky from this point onwards. And my man Gavriel, he sets about finding Adian. Okay, he wants to find his son. It's battle, okay? He wants to make sure Adian's okay. Gavriel finds Adian and he tells him, look, we found Aelin, she's okay. We've sealed the Weird Gate, but Erwin is still here. And they're like, right, okay, what we need to do is we need to close the gates, right? We need to stop the enemy getting in, we need to seal the gates. So they go down and they're going to fight together. And they're amazing, right? The 2 of them. But Gavriel, he gets on the outside of the gates and he closes them behind him like he sacrifices himself. And he's been so nice all the way through. And he's so proud when he sees Adian fighting properly. And he's like, yeah, that's my boy. He's brilliant. Me and his mother, we made a brilliant man. And I love him. And so he dies protecting Adian and protecting Orinth because he loves his son and Adian. He's never, like, he doesn't really get any decent time with Gavriel, and he was so horrible to him, and he's going to regret it for the rest of his life. This book, it's evil. Now, the 6 Karen Kui, the 6 Stygian spiders, that have the Valg princess demons inside them, they arrive with Maeve and Erwin at Orinth. And we get one of the best, the most symbolic scenes in this entire book. Because Aelin is at the southern gate, she has it closed behind her, and it's just her v them. And Homegirl's barely got any power left. She's got like almost no magic. And the reason why this is the best moment in any of the books is because this is where the message of the series really comes through. And I am going to go on a little bit of a treatise about it. Okay. You're going to hear my message right now because this is what Sarah J Maas wants you to learn. Aelin Galathinius is stood in front of this gate and she doesn't have magic. She's got no one stood around her yet. It's just her on her own. And what she needs to appreciate is that that's enough. She is enough. She doesn't need the magic, right, to fight the two biggest, baddest people in the world. Because she is stood there with a sword and a shield in her hand. And the thing she hates most about herself is Selena Sardothian, right? She's taken real pains to distance herself from her life as the iconic assassin. Because to her, that's the life she shouldn't have led. That life wasn't hers. There's Selena on one side and there is Aelin on the other. And Aelin does not like Selena. She doesn't like the choices she's made. She just used to professionally kill people, right? And that makes Aelin feel really icky. But at a moment like this, where push comes to shove and everything else is out on the line, Aelin Ashriver Galathinius has Selena Sardothian to rely on because she has spent 10 years of her life without magic, without people around her like Rowan and Kale and Dorian. And if you cast your minds back all the way to page 1 of book 1, without all of these really cool reveals, she was always awesome. She was always the best main character of any book ever written. And so what this book is about, it's about her appreciating that like the things she doesn't like about herself, they are a part of her. And that in order to win, in order to be the best version of herself possible, in order to save not just her world, the universe, she has to learn that part of her, it's good. It's good enough. She is a good person. She has to like everything about herself. Really. The final hurdle to that is her really embracing Selena and Aelin. They aren't different people. They haven't done different things. They're all me. They're the two parts of me. It's all part of the story that makes me me, that's now tattooed on my back. And so she stands there with a sword and a shield and a fuck ton of riz, right? Because she knows she can kick their asses in a fight, okay? No one is a better sword fighter than Aelin because she spent more than a decade being honed into the best fighter imaginable. And she can't just wipe 10 years off of that and pretend it didn't happen. It did. It's everything that makes her her. And she pulls out the Selena Sardothian. It's no longer the Selena Sardothian. It's just who Aelin Ashriver Whitethorn Galathinius is. And she lays on the mind games, the riz, the pizzazz, and she plays them against each other. It's the gift of the gab. She tells Erwin, look, Maeve is always planning to trick you. I've caught up with my friend Dorian. She's a snake. She's going to betray you. Oh, yeah, and by the way, we've brought a healer with us. She's going to kill you both. Like, she can literally pull the Valg out of your host. And the two of them are gagged. They were like, this is not how we expected her to be. Like, are we winning this war or are we not winning this war? What is going on? We're so confused. And she bites her. She literally uses the little bit of firepower she's got left in her to ignite her sword and ignite the shield because they're imbued with magic, right? We've got Goldrin and we've got the shield that Adian's handed back to her. They both have little bits of magic in them. So she sets them on fire so it looks like she's always using the flame, right? But she hasn't. She only had to like ignite them a little bit. So Homegirl has a flaming sword and a flaming shield and just starts running at him and hitting him. And it's just the epicness of the size of her cojones. No one has bigger balls than Aelin because they don't know she ain't got magic. They don't know she's giving it all up, and they won't. She's gonna act like the boss she is, like she has always been. Because do you know what? Selena Sardothian, she'll win a fight on Riz alone. And this time, Aelin goes, a classic Aelin move. They're no longer different people. They are one and the same. Aelin is just willing to 100% be like, nah, I am Selena. Selena is me. And I am a beast. So Lorcan and Fenris, they rush to go and help Aelin in her fight, but an Ilkin swoops down and it picks Erwin up. Erwin's going to go fight someone else. Turns out he's spotted the healer that Aelin was just talking about. He can see Irene and he's like, oh my God, one of them's here. Because obviously he was trying to hunt her and get rid of her down on the southern continent. Didn't realize, oh my God, they've brought one. They've brought a Valg killer. So he rushes to go and get Irene, which leaves Maeve with Aelin, and she grabs her and is trying to get her to swear the blood oath. Get under my power. Just as Rowan and Fenris and Lorcan all arrive to try and join in with Aelin, and she attacks all of them at the same time with her power. Meanwhile, Erwin, he's made it up to the wall and he's with Irene. And he says that he's been looking for her and that back in the Valg world, they have her kind and they're called Death Maidens. And he tells her that they used her kind to unbind the Weird Gate and actually make the keys that allowed them travel between realms. As he's stepping towards her, man realizes he's just stepped on a weird mark and he's trapped. And he's like, wait, what? This is a trap? Irene jumps forward and starts healing the demon out of him as he's like, how did I step on this thing? God damn it. They've goaded me up here. This is all a trick. And Irene starts getting the Valg out of the host and he's fighting her. But then Dorian puts his hands on Irene's shoulders and he starts boosting her magic, right? This is what they needed. They're tag teaming him. This is where Dorian demands, what was my father's actual name? And we find out that Dorian's dad's name was Dorian and he only remembered it once. That was the first time he held Dorian in his arms. Let's move on because it's too sad. And with the turbo charge of using Dorian's magic, Irene kills Erwin. She does. Irene kills Erwin. Are you not gagged? Meanwhile, Maeve's power, it's showing all the guys different things that she's got trapped down there. Their kind of worst nightmares are being played out for them. So Rowan sees Aelin die on a spike on the walls of Orinth. Fenris, he sees Connell, and Connell's like, everything that happened to me is your fault. You betrayed me, you let me down, you're a terrible brother. Bleak. And Lorcan, he sees a lead say, I'll never be with you, I hate you. Which kind of already happened. Lorcan's already lived his nightmare, and you're like, oh no. And we find out Maeve is torturing the guys to try and get Aelin to swear the blood oath to her. In a do what I say or I'm going to hurt the people you care about kind of way. But Aelin, she blasts the last little bit of her power into the guys. We get the most iconic line that's ever said that could only be said by someone with massive chutzpah. I am a god. She's just got such big balls. I love her. I am a god. Knowing she's just she's just beaten 12 gods at their own game. It's I'm better than all of you. I am the best. I am the goat. I love it for her. Aelin creates a ton of portals, and then we have an epic scene, the one from what was it, Avengers Endgame, where all of these different gates have a different army start coming through them. We've got a band of Fae, got a group of wolf riders out from the woods, and the Stygian spiders. Okay, fun fact: the Stygian spiders, they were not vibing with this whole, oh yeah, I'm the queen, I'll let you use your Valg demons to possess my spiders. They were like, whoa. That's major snaky, Maeve. We've followed you for hundreds of years, and the moment you come back into our lives, you're just going to use us for weird, spooky experiments. No, thank you. And they basically just all want to destroy Maeve. And Aelin and Rowan work together, and they distract Maeve, and you think, oh yeah, Aelin's going to go for her. Nah. Aelin's given Goldrun to Fenris. Fenris comes around the back and kills her. Aelin gives up, right? Aelin gives to someone else the killing of Maeve. She gives it to Fenris, right? Because of what she did to Connell, because of how much that would mean to Fenris. So when you think about the baddies in this book, just take a second. We have Arobynn. She lets Lysandra kill Arobynn. She has Erwin. She lets Irene and Dorian kill Erwin. They deal with him. And then she lets Fenris deal with Maeve. Homegirl's so selfless. She does all this fighting. She gives all this stuff up, right? She sacrifices again and again and again. And even like the big pro moments, the ones that would be like, yeah, I'm going to get revenge for how badly you've done me. She is always capable of seeing that someone else also deserves vengeance. With Arobynn, it was, well, God, he made Lysandra do awful, awful things, like sleep with him. So, Lysandra, you can kill Arobynn. With Irene and Erwin, you've got to remember Erwin and his demons. They possessed the king of Ardlan and were taking over the nation and created all the conquering and the war that killed Irene's mum. So really, it's an opportunity for Irene and then Dorian and what happened to his dad for them to get their vengeance against Erwin. And then this final kill with Maeve, she's like, do you know what? She's done a lot of awful things to me, but she didn't kill my twin. She's just very thoughtful. And so Homegirl gets to see, and this is what matters to her, okay? She gets to see all of the baddies in her life die. She doesn't care about doing it herself. She facilitates other people doing it. She lets other people in at the last second. And that's just so polite. That's how much of a girl's girl she is. Why she's the best ever. And it's such a good, like, subversion as well, because you think she's going to do it. You thought she was going to kill Arobynn when she didn't. It was like, oh. And you thought she was going to kill Erwin. And when Irene and Dorian did it, you were like, oh. And now with Maeve, you were 100%. You'd bet money on her being the one to kill Maeve. And it was like, oh. You never do what I expect, Aelin. And I love that. So Aelin puts, like, Sybil's ring on Maeve's hand and just chops her head off. Like, she lets Fenris feel like the killing blow, but then she's like, I'm gonna decapitate you. So she still feels good. Like, she still gets to take part, and they make sure that she's not gonna come back. So all of the Valg are, like, gagged. And they instantly stop fighting because they're like, the leaders are dead. And yeah, the battle's won. De facto. And Aelin finally gets to enter Orinth. Her capital city, her fort, her castle, her home. She's back. We get to see Falcon, shapeshifter extraordinaire, find Lysandra and be like, babe, I'm your uncle. I've been searching for you for ages. I'm like a super duper wealthy merchant now. All of my money is yours. You're a rich lady. We see Darrow welcome Aelin to Orinth as Queen of Terrasen. And as a sign of respect, Aelin offers Gavriel the Blood Oath, like in death, in spirit, to honor him and show how important he was to Terrasen, which obviously Adian is like. We see Lorcan ask a lead, like, ask me to stay, ask me to marry you, ask me to be with you. And she does. And it's really funny because if Lorcan marries a lead, which he's going to, he becomes Lord Lorcan Locan, because that's a lead surname. Lord Lorcan Locan, and that is brought up. They all find it hilarious. And Lorcan says that he plans to bind like his life force to a lead, so he's not going to be immortal, living for ages. He's gonna die when she dies. He's gonna age with her. Irene decides that she wants to start a tour in the north, which is great. She's gonna start teaching her healing up here now that magic's returned. The Crocans, they come, they find Manon, and they tell her that a flower's growing over in the wastes. The curse has been broken, which we knew, but now all the witches know. And they're like, we can finally go home. And then Gina never going to get to go home. No, don't cry. Rowan sends a message over to Celine, his cousin, and lets her know that she is now the Queen of Doranel. Aelin can't be queen of both places at the same time. And so Celine, if you go back far enough up in the bloodlines and then down another route, is like the next rightful queen. So Aelin kind of abdicates her right to be queen of Doranel and passes that baton over to Celine, who happens to be Owen's Whitethorn cousin. We have Aelin's actual coronation, and it's beautiful and it's perfect. And oh, it's so emotional. She's there, and all the people she cares about are present, except her mum and dad, who obviously can't be there anymore because they're dead. And Adian gets to take the blood oath. And so we've got them all together, and they're just all happy, and they all deserve it. And the little people, they turn up at a coronation, and she gets crowned with Mab's crowns because she's Fairy Queen of the West. She's the Queen of Garrison, Fairy Queen of the West. Oh, she's just so wonderful. They have this lovely party, and Rowan and Aelin dance, and the fan art's brilliant. And they get a night of like loveliness of all being happy, and they've earned it. My God, they've earned it. While they're there, some of the Rukin who've come from the southern continent, they've found wyvern eggs scattered around, and they want to stay behind and train them because obviously they know what they're doing with flying creatures. They want to teach people in the northern continent all of like the ideal practices for raising creatures like that. So they kind of want to stay up north for a little bit. Hale's mom sends him a letter. She's gonna go be with him, bring Holly. It's really cute. Hale's family are all getting back together. Now Dorian goes and finds Manon. And this is one of the threads where you're like, oh, I wish you got more resolution here. Like, I wish we got a firm yes, but Dorian goes to Manon and says that the Rukin is staying and that they're gonna train some wyvern up to be his new like aerial fleet, and he wants her to come back from the wastes and help train them. And she says she will. She says, oh, well, I can probably fly back from the wastes frequent-ish. So we get the hint of like the future of Dorian and Manon like ruling over their because they are neighboring places. They've just got mountains between them. Like they can fly back and forth and see each other, but they're not like official, we're gonna get married kind of ending that we get with some of the others. Even though I wish it was. It'd be so cute. And we wrap up and everyone's leaving. Everyone's going back home. The Crokens fly off. The Kaganate Royals obviously have to head off back to the southern continent. And on that note, Sartak asks Nezrin to marry him. And so Nezrin is going to return to the southern continent and like be the empress of the southern continent. She's got to be the queen. Not enough people talk about how awesome that is. Like, Homegirl wins. Like, she crushes it. She slays. Hundy P. Ansel and Herla obviously head back to the wastes as well. So the Crokens fly ahead, and Ansel's gonna get there when she gets there. The Silent Assassins, they have to head down to the desert, back home. Prince Gallant, like, he's got to go sail back over to Wendlin. So we're all like, bye, 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 bye. You know that day when you've had loads of family visiting and everyone's packing up and they're all like just getting out the door and leaving at different times? It's one of those, it feels like that. And then we get Aelin and Kale and Dorian all like they're saying goodbye, but like it isn't goodbye. Because obviously Kale, he's gonna work as the hand of the king, but he's Lord Westfall, and Irene, she's got all of her stuff to do. So they're obviously gonna head off back down south to Ardlan, and Dorian, he's got to go back and rule his kingdom, and Aelin, and then she's in Terracid now, so they're not gonna be together, and they have like this hug, and they all hold each other, and you cast your mind back, like the story started, and it was just the three of them, and now they all have partners, they all have homes. They're all grown up in a sense, and you've watched that happen, and you love them so much, and they all kind of get what they deserve. They're happily ever afters, and you're so happy for them. You then just get like Aline and Lorcan, they've got married. Adian and Lysandra, they're gonna get married. And this royal flower, the king's flower, it blooms again. Like there's a true ruler in Terrason, this beautiful flower. It blooms everywhere. And the ending's perfect. And Aiden's just overrun. She's like, well, what do we do now? We've just saved the world. We've just saved the universe. What happens? And he's like, well, we rule, we live, we spend the rest of our lives together. Happy. because we've bloody earned it. And thus ends the best series of all time. Like it's brilliant. Loads of people are like, the ending that left me down. It's epic. This is a high fantasy epic series, and it's brilliant beginning to end. And this book is awful, but it is transcendent and brilliant. And this whole series is my favorite of all time. And I really hope you've enjoyed us recapping it. God only knows how many actual videos this is going to take to get through. But this is us done with Throne of Glass. And it's the one series of these, because the others aren't finished yet, that you really do get a denouement. And that's like the official name for the end of a story. And it means the little death. Because that's how you feel. It's brilliant and it's beautiful, and they all end up exactly where they're meant to, but your heart breaks because you've got to say goodbye to them and you're never going to see them again. Or will you? Dun, dun, dun. So join me for further episodes as we start on ACOTAR, which is insanely popular for a reason. It's way, way, way more romance than this is. This is a fantasy with romance. ACOTAR, which I'm putting upwards because it's on the top shelf, that is romance set in a fantasy setting. And then we'll wrap up with Crescent City, which I actually don't have words to describe. What genre is that? It's fantasy something. But stay tuned. I know we're saying goodbye to Throne of Glass for now, but we will persevere on and we will delve even further into the Massiverse. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.